Vermont has a long and varied sports history, but there's never been one place where the wide range of achievement, both on and off the field of play, could be acknowledged. That is until now. Ted Ryan is the former longtime sports editor at the Burlington Free Press, and he's one of the main organizers behind the new Vermont Sports Hall of Fame. Ted, thanks very much for popping in. You guys had your launch last night here in South Burlington to get this over. Where did the thought process begin? Where was that spark to begin to get this thing going?
Well, it begins with the same way that a lot of sports conversations begin. Alan Rubel, who is a former Golden Gloves boxer and has written a book on the history of boxing in Vermont, had a book signing out at the Doubletree, and got into a conversation about honoring people, and it was kind of geared around boxing, when somebody said something about, well, you know, what about the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame? And people were sort of shocked to think there isn't one. And that sort of began the discussions among a core of people. They reached out to some other folks to try to draw them in to see their points of view and their expertise as well. And the upshot is that last night we did go public and proclaim that we hope to have our first class inducted into the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame a year from now in October of 2012.
Looking for a year from now. And I remember the first time that I heard mention of this, that was my first thought. Why isn't there one? Why do you think there hasn't been one up until this point, and why is now a good time to get it started?
I'm not really sure why there wasn't one. Probably because a lot of the people in the state weren't really organized in any sort of group, and there were a number of halls of fame, both at the collegiate level, the high schools, some regionals. There's one now in the Northeast Kingdom, for instance, or sports specific, such as the Ski Hall of Fame, and we're hoping to form alliances with them as we go along too. There's no intention to usurp all the wonderful work that they've done, and in many cases we hope to draw upon their expertise and how to go about it, and certainly for candidates as well.
Is there going to be an effort to maybe try to bring all of these into underneath maybe one umbrella?
I don't know if it'll be a formal umbrella, but when the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame does have a virtual site, and eventually when it has a physical location, we certainly want to have those halls of fame available to the public to see as well. That'll serve as their publicity for them and to honor their athletes, many of whom will fit their criteria that may not be the same criteria, especially when you're talking about college athletes that really might not have been from Vermont, or for whatever reason. You know, it's not to usurp, as I said. It is hopefully to be a good joint alliance.
You mentioned criteria. What are the kind of overall criteria?
The easiest way to explain it at this point is that we will be looking for coaches, athletes, administrators, contributors, benefactors, people who have contributed significantly to the sports legacy of Vermont.
So not necessarily, it's not a prerequisite that you are born here, from here.
Oh, absolutely not, because I think a lot of us realize that there are people who have been born elsewhere, even played high school elsewhere, college elsewhere, and then perhaps came here and coached for 40 or 50 years. Tremendous contribution to the state, and would certainly be worthy of consideration for the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame. What's
been kind of the general reaction in the varied sports communities to the word that this is starting?
Many of the people I've talked to have been, their first reaction is, it's about time, quite frankly. And we've had many people say, let us know what we can do, people in the sports realm, including the people from a couple of the college halls of fame who were here at their launch last night. It's been wonderful in that sense. The media has responded well. Many of the people that we've started to reach out to have responded well. But again, the launch was last night, and now the work really begins.
And you mentioned it briefly before. Is there actually going to be a physical Hall of Fame, a brick and mortar building?
I think that's what they're hoping to do by, the timeline says 2017. By 2014, they're hoping to have a mobile exhibit that can go to high schools, go to various events around the state, whether it's state fairs or whatever, but to be able to take memorabilia and the honors of that we hope will come to these people.
Until then, it'll be an online process.
That would be the first part of it, yes, absolutely.
And about 30 seconds here, you formed some partnerships as well, and there's a charity aspect.
There is. First, our sponsor, one of our major sponsors already on board, is Vermont Life, which is tremendous, and we hope to be able to benefit the Prevent Child Abuse Vermont program. throughout the state, through the hospitals and their programs. They're very excited to be with us, and we're tremendously excited to be aligned with them.
And that's a good cause as well. And again, the first class, hopefully this time next year, 2012, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate leading up to
We're certainly hoping so.
that class is long. Ted Ryan, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.